concrete coffee talk.
Yeah.
I do love it. Who wants to do it? Whitney has to do
Okay.
it. We're doing a giveaway. Just stay tuned to our YouTube channel, and you'll see how you can get a handheld penetrometer. I don't want to go into the details. Whitney does a great job, so stay tuned. Okay, so go ahead. What are we doing a coffee talk on today?
Well, we're talking about dams.
Damn.
Speaking of, what did the fish say when he swam into a concrete wall?
I don't know.
Damn.
That's a good one. That's a good slapper.
I like that one.
So we're going to take the time to analyze that. You know, what does happen when, or can fish swim into a concrete dam, and does that cause a problem?
Yeah, that causes a problem. I mean, the environmental sector has really gotten involved in this issue. In the Pacific Northwest, all the western coast.
Wait, time out a second. If you don't know, the reason why David is going into this spiel is because David spent 37 years working for
U.S. Bureau of Reclamation.
and he worked on a lot of dams. And I think it's somewhere around 300 to 400 dam facilities in the Midwest that y'all were in charge of.
In the 17 western states, yeah. Yeah,
So
we owned and operated about 350 dams.
So theoretically, you have a lot of dam information, especially about fish. So first of all, I think the most important question is, can a fish swim into a dam?
Yes.
Wow.
You know, obviously there's different kinds of fish, like there's different kinds of birds, there's different kinds of, all kinds of animals. So migratory fish, the salmon, fish like that, they have to swim upstream to spawn. So if you have a dam, it blocks that passage. So in order to handle that, in the Pacific Northwest, we see fish ladders. We see the boxes with the water flowing down, and the salmon leap into a box, and leap into a box, and leap into a box, and can make a passage past the dam and get up and spawn. Now conversely, a lot of the native fish in the West don't range long distances.
Sure.
The bottom feeders and some of those native fish, like some birds, they don't range very far, and so if there's a distance between one dam and another that's 100 miles, that's plenty for them.
So will you see I don't know if you want to call it a stress gradient or a flow gradient from the top of the water that hits the dam to the bottom, like there's a greater flow up top than there is at bottom, or there's different currents along the face of that dam?
Well, obviously if you have an outlet that works at the bottom of the dam, there's more pressure, so it's going to shoot out farther with more velocity. If you have what some people call overflow, and get up and spawn. Now conversely, a lot of the native fish in the West don't range long distances.
Sure.
The bottom feeders and some of those native fish, like some birds, they don't range very far, and so if there's a distance between one dam and another that's 100 miles, that's plenty for them.
So will you see I don't know if you want to call it a stress gradient or a flow gradient from the top of the water that hits the dam to the bottom, like there's a greater flow up top than there is at bottom, or there's different currents along the face of that dam?
Well, obviously if you have an outlet that works at the bottom of the dam, there's more pressure, so it's going to shoot out farther with more velocity. If you have what some people call overflow gates, or gates towards the top of the dam, it's more like a garden hose. They'll just come out a little bit and then trickle down the dam.
So when it comes to bottom feeders, if there is a change in the flow at the bottom, can they draw in some of those bottom feeders, or those fish that dwell towards the bottom of whatever body of water it is?
Well, they could.
Okay.
They could. It turns out the studies done at the Bureau Labs, Bureau Reclamation Laboratories, they've done many studies on fish behavior, and it turns out fish like to swim along the bottom, and whatnot. And I use the term bottom feeders just as a description,
sure,
just to get the idea. They discovered that they'll actually put out their fins in the flow and sort of get down into the flow and brace against the flow.
Wow.
And so at the Bureau, it was interesting. They had they use scaled fish, and they use young, small fish in the models.
Stop it.
No, this is true. That was essentially scaled to the flow and whatnot. And it turned out fish are very, very smart, as it turns out. The native fish that they would use, they could only be a given model one time.
Because they would learn it?
Because they learned the flow regime in the model. So, a very interesting study. So,
I would love to find that study and do a video just... We're going to try to find that study and get that out to you, because that is...
Yeah. Now for the migratory fish coming back downstream,
right.
Of course, many of those are now the fry. They're the new weight hatched. So there's a tremendous study in screening. So they have screens that the fish won't go into, go into the outlet works, and they rotate to clean the stuff off the screen so they don't plug, and then they route the fish to get down safely past the dam. So it's a big field of study, one that's not well known.
Right, just a lot of stuff you wouldn't even necessarily think of.
But the Bureau is very environmentally conscious and very aware of things.
So based on all of that, we know that if a fish does hit a dam, it's only going to be one time if they're hanging around that dam.
Yeah.
So we effectively know the story of most fish in that joke.
Right?
Right.
That's true.
That is, like, we understand that to a certain degree, obviously.
Right. Now on the upstream side, say in the outlet works, there's been many studies, TVA, Corps, the Bureau, many studies about fish disruptors. So they'll have lights or sounds or various things to drive them away.
So they're not getting injured and not killing them?
Exactly.
So I would imagine that there are studies that go over the death rate and...
There is that.
I mean, that's the unfortunate reality of, listen, we have made a mark on this big blue planet.
Yeah.
And we have the obligation to manage that mark.
Right.
And if we're trying to control the mic and do a video we're going to try to find that study and get that out to you, because that is...
Yeah. Now for the migratory fish coming back downstream,
right.
Of course, many of those are now the fry. They're the new weight hatched. So there's a tremendous study in screening. So they have screens that the fish won't go into, go into the outlet works, and they rotate to clean the stuff off the screen so they don't plug, and then they route the fish to get down safely past the dam. So it's a big field of study, one that's not well known.
Right, just a lot of stuff you wouldn't even necessarily think of.
But the Bureau is very environmentally conscious and very aware of things.
So based on all of that, we know that if a fish does hit a dam, it's only going to be one time if they're hanging around that dam.
Yeah.
So we effectively know the story of most fish in that joke.
Right?
Right.
That's true.
That is, like, we understand that to a certain degree, obviously. Right.
Now on the upstream side, say in the outlet works, there's been many studies, TVA, Corps, the Bureau, many studies about fish disruptors. So they'll have lights or sounds or various things to drive them away.
So they're not getting injured and not killing them?
Exactly.
So I would imagine that there are studies that go over the death rate and...
There is that.
I mean, that's the unfortunate reality of, listen, we have made a mark on this big blue planet.
Yeah.
And we have the obligation to manage that mark.
Right.
And if we're trying to control the mighty Colorado or any other rivers, we have to do everything within our powers to stop the negative impact. And part of that, the same thing with the migratory patterns of birds over here with their wind turbines.
Sure.
To a certain degree, wind turbines can kill birds.
Yeah.
And we have to do our best to have the positive impact on not killing those birds, but still maintain that renewable energy source, just like we're doing with the mighty Colorado and the Hoover Dam.
Has to be a balance.
Right.
Absolutely.
Has to be a balance. You need, people want to drink water and use electricity.
Right.
But people want to protect wildlife
Right,
and
absolutely.
keep things in a natural state. So the environmentalists, you may hear people say, oh, environmentalists, blah, blah, blah. They have a very important role.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Very important
Totally.
role. The design engineers, the structural engineers, very important role. We need
Balance.
Right.
We need
They need
balance.
to communicate and find a happy medium between the two.
Well, and doing the research, I mean, the Department of Interior, the Bureau of Reclamation, the Denver Federal Center, that's what y'all did.
Right.
Is a lot of the analysis, building models that, you know, we've been on tours of that. If you ever have the chance, if you know the right people, going on a tour of that place, I mean, you could take bicycles. It really is a fantastic place. And
8.5 acres under the roof.
And they do have bicycles if you're trained and have your, and if you work there, you could take, but the models that y'all have to understand the impact of design, it's really fantastic. And I think that the study and the research that's gone behind it really helps that balance. And man, it's just for a purpose. Anyway, so hope you learned something out of this. I think we had a fun time talking about it.
Love the opening.
Right.
And please stay tuned. We've got a lot of information coming out about the Hoover Dam, as well as the handheld penetrometer. Hey, thanks for joining us. Go Concrete!
Beat
asphalt.
asphalt.